So, in the run-up to Christmas, we can go a little behind and stuff. So, I thought a couple of days ago I'd stick on a guilty pleasure film for myself just to enjoy this time of year, Hot Fuzz. Now, while Hot Fuzz nowadays wouldn't quite make my top 10 list of top 10 favourite movies, it definitely is a guilty pleasure and is a very good movie. In my opinion, the strongest of Edgar Wright's Three Flavours Cornetto trilogy, those being Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and World's End. I definitely think Hot Fuzz is the best of those three. Now, being a British film, I know the joke about with the British acting industry is that we've only got 5 actors and they tend to rotate around everything, but watching through Hot Fuzz, I actually did notice 10 actors who would have roles in Doctor Who, some of them higher than others, some of them lower. So I thought today I'd cross over a guilty pleasure film with my favourite TV franchise and just tell you 10 actors that have appeared in Hot Fuzz and Doctor Who. Now, of course, the Cornetto trilogy does have more, including Penelope Wilton, Reece Shearsmith, and Matt Lucas, just to name a few, but today I'm mainly going to be focusing on Hot Fuzz and the actors who appear in both. And also, seeing as I am going to be talking about major plot points throughout the film and throughout Doctor Who, this is your official spoiler warning, so if you haven't seen either yet, go ahead, go and watch them, and then come back to this. Also, I've tried to put these in the order in which they appear in the film, not the TV show, so we will jump around a bit. So, starting off, number one, pretty much at the start of the film, we get introduced to our main protagonist of the film, Nicholas Angel, played by actor Simon Pegg. He is, of course, the main focus point of this film and of the 3 films, and he is played by actor Simon Pegg, who in 2005, you may actually not know this, he appeared in Doctor Who's Series 1 episode back in 2005, The Long Game, where he played the editor. The editor of Satellite 5, who kind of monitors all the TV news stations, everything that's going on, and even tries to nick the TARDIS key when the Doctor is trapped. Is he going, no, do what you want, I don't need it, I've got the key, trying to nick the TARDIS and ultimately do evil plans with it, but is ultimately stopped. So, number one, Simon Pegg. Now, of course, number two, at the beginning of the film, when Nicholas Angel is given sergeanthood, he is told, ultimately by actors played by Martin Freeman and Steve Coogan, that he is going to be relocated to Sanford, and is eventually told by his chief inspector, Kenneth. And Kenneth is played by actor Bill Nighy. Now, you may recognise Bill Nighy from a variety of things, including the Pirates of the Caribbean movie, where he played Davy Jones. But, in fact, Bill Nighy was actually down at one point to play the role of the 10th Doctor before the role was ultimately given to David Tennant. Interesting bit of trivia for you. Anyway, Bill Nighy would eventually appear in Doctor Who in the 2010 Series 5 episode, Vincent and the Doctor, where he plays art expert Dr. Black. Now, once he has actually arrived in Sanford, Nicholas decides to go and take a look around the place, and he ends up at the local pub, where he meets the man who will eventually become his partner, Daniel Butterman, or Danny, played by actor Nick Frost. Of course, Simon Pegg and Nick Frost are the focus of all the films of the Cornetto franchise, but while Simon Pegg was able to get into Doctor Who fairly early on in 2005, Nick Frost would actually take a while. In fact, he wouldn't appear until the mid-credits scene of Series 8 in 2014, and will eventually return in the 2014 Christmas special playing Father Christmas in the 2014 Christmas special Last Christmas. So, there we are. Number 4, of course, once he has found Danny and arrested him, as well as several other teenagers, Nicholas ends up taking them down to the Sanford police station, where he meets the man over the inquiries desk, Sergeant Turner. Now, there are 2 Sergeant Turners who they show, one with fairly clean hair and one with fairly messy hair, and they are both played by actor Bill Bailey. Now, side note, on the day I'm recording this, and on the day that this video may come out, tonight is actually the final of the 2020 Strictly Come Dancing final, so, yeah, good luck to Bill Bailey. Hope he does well. But anyway, Bill Bailey appears in Hot Fuzz, playing Sergeant Turner, and he would eventually appear in the 2011 Doctor Who Christmas special, The Doctor, the Widow and the Wardrobe, playing one of the miners from Androzani Major called Droxel. Now, the next morning, when Nicholas Angel goes for his jog, he ends up running into the owner or manager of the local Summerfield supermarket, Simon Skinner, played by Timothy Dalton, who is clearly telegraphed as a villain throughout the first half of the film, and we find out later he is one of the villains, but that's neither here or there, and he is telegraphed pretty hard as a villain. Now, Hot Fuzz came out in 2007, and 2 years later, Timothy Dalton would make a contribution to Doctor Who in the form of the Time Lord President Rassilon in David Tennant's last two episodes, The End of Time Part 1 and The End of Time Part 2, in 2009 and 2010. Once he gets to the police station, and having had another run-in with Sergeant Turner and Daniel Butterman, Nicholas is eventually introduced to his new Chief Inspector, Frank Butterman, played by Jim Broadbent. Now, while Broadbent hasn't had a canon role in Doctor Who, he did appear in the 1999 comic relief Doctor Who sketch The Curse of Fatal Death, where he plays a version of the Doctor as the Doctor ends up going through multiple regenerations. Now, given the fact that Richard E. Grant was also in that short, but later returned to portray Dr. Simeon, I do hold out a little bit of hope that maybe Jim Broadbent might return to Doctor Who someday to give us an actual canon role, which would be nice to see. While Frank shows Nicholas around the Sanford police station, he's also introduced to another police officer, Doris Thatcher, played by Olivia Colman. And Coleman would appear in Series 5's opener, The 11th Hour, in 2010, playing one of the forms of Prisoner Zero. Now, later on, while Nicholas and Danny are sent out to deal with a man at a farm named Arthur Webley, Webley is portrayed by actor David Bradley, who some of you might remember from throughout the Harry Potter films where he plays Filch. But David Bradley would later make two additions to Doctor Who. In 2012, he would appear in the episode Dinosaurs on a Spaceship, portraying the evil villain Solomon, who was planning to steal the dinosaurs from the spaceship. And 1 year later, he would be cast to portray actor William Hartnell in the Doctor Who docudrama film An Adventure in Space and Time, a role that he would later reprise, sort of, in Peter Capaldi's final episode, Twice Upon a Time, in 2017. After dealing with Arthur Webley's farm and having to confiscate all the weapons that were in it, Nicholas and Danny eventually end up going for a night at the pub, where they run into the next one on our list, Ron Cook, who portrays character George Merchant, a man who is eventually murdered because he doesn't have a nice house, or his house isn't in keeping with the village's rustic aesthetic. Hot Fuzz came out in 2007. Ron Cook appeared in the 2006 Doctor Who episode The Idiot's Lantern, portraying TV salesman Mr. Magpie, a man who was working with a creature known as The Wire. And the final actor that I have to say who was in both Hot Fuzz and Doctor Who is actress Anne Reid. Now, I personally know Anne Reid from her role as Jean in the 1990s sitcom Dinner Ladies, but she does appear here as well, and she appears as a florist named Leslie Tiller, a woman who was eventually murdered because she was planning to move away, and the Neighbourhood Watch doesn't want her to give her florist skills to anyone else. So there you go, 10 actors who have appeared in both Hot Fuzz and Doctor Who. Simon Pegg, Bill Nighy, Nick Frost, Bill Bailey, Timothy Dalton, Jim Broadbent, Olivia Colman, David Bradley, Ron Cook, and Anne Reid. Yeah, nice little something to break up Christmas, I think. So anyway, there you go. See ya.